Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows home so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
I'm done with subscriptions. Streaming, fitness, razors, vitamins. I've got subscriptions for everything in my life. They lock you in, and half the time, I can't figure out how to unsubscribe. That's why I'm so excited about the new Blue Apron. Now you can get delicious meals delivered with no subscription needed, including new pre-made options. Keep the flavor, ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward. Things are getting weird around my house, Hamish.
Things have always been weird around your house, Vic. What's gotten weirder?
Things are getting weirder. Well, my husband came home yesterday. He's been unemployed since we got back from our big trip, and he just got a part-time job. Mm-hmm. And he's just come in wearing a shirt, an orange shirt, with the name Hamish written on it.
Yes, this feels familiar. He's stepped into the big dog's shoes, has he? Taken on the big mantle.
He's basically taken your job, which is not very odd. It's all getting a bit incestuous, isn't it?
It is getting
so now
a bit
my
incestuous.
husband, when I look at him, I say, oh, yeah, it's sort of like you are Hamish, but you are my husband, but you're sort of morphing into him. Unfortunately, he's not getting any younger.
He's your dream man. He looks like John, but he's got my career in water. The big bucks.
He had his training day yesterday. He's thoroughly enjoying it, so that's good news.
I'm so glad. If he passes his training day, does he get his own top with John written on it, or will he forever be Hamish?
I don't know. I think he likes being called Hamish. I think he's going to stick with it. Might be confusing for me, though.
It is weird. That is weird. But hey, if he ever wants to present this podcast, if he just wants to follow me and my career throughout my whole life, he's more than welcome to.
Unfortunately, Hamish, he's not funny. Let's not let him hear this episode. But he doesn't understand humour. Like if I show him like the funniest YouTube video ever, which my favourite one is that dog that's trying to attack its own leg because it thinks it's a separate animal. That's funny. He just looks at it and he just cannot comprehend why that would be funny. And I do that all the time.
Okay, hang on though.
Wait. He sees I'm annoyed with him and then he does a fake laugh to kind of appease me for being moody with him for not having a sense of humour.
I think what you're doing here is self-preservation. I think he doesn't find you funny, Vic. Maybe he's got a great sense of humour and actually really understands comedy. It's just your jokes are not landing, so you've gone into self-preservation mode and gone, you know what? The guy's broken. If he doesn't find me funny, he doesn't understand humour.
I mean, just because someone doesn't understand humour doesn't mean say he's a bad husband. Anyway, do you remember, Haim, about a year ago, we invited the amazing Jean McCarthy on the podcast?
Yeah, she was so wonderful. You know when you spend a bit of time with someone that you've never met and at the end you feel like, I felt like I knew her, but B, I felt kind of virtually, even though we did it in person, hugged by her. I was very comforted around her.
Yeah, she's had a very comforting presence and a sense of humour, which was good.
That too.
I would have rejected her like I often reject my husband.
You would have married her.
Yeah, I would have married her. She said something on that podcast which both of us had never heard before and that we've mentioned many, many times since that recording. It struck us both as a very smart and sensible way to approach sober life. So today we're going to have a chat about Sobriety Capital, what it is and why making sure you have it could be the key to a long and fulfilling sober life.
Yes, I was wondering when we were going to sort of dig into this a little bit further. Now, don't get confused. This is not about financial capital. This is not a podcast about your sober finances, which we know are probably kind of similar to where they were when you were drinking heavily because you're spending it all on Twiglets and dairy milk and lint balls. This is instead an episode about what is going on around you when you choose to take the less wobbly sober path.
Yeah. So just to be clear, this is not about money. We can't do an episode on that because Hamish and I are the two most useless savers, spenders, and general losers when it comes to Wonga. Also, Sobriety Capital is not the new name for Canberra, just so you know, Hamish, although wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
A sober city, a place where the river runs with fizzy water and nobody wants to fight you when the pub closes.
If it was going to be any city in Australia, Canberra would be it. It does have somewhat of a boring reputation that might go hand in hand with sobriety.
Yeah, start a movement. Everybody that's sober in Australia moves to Canberra and we create our own utopia.
Okay, you haven't thought this through entirely because that would mean that we need to move to Canberra.
Yeah, stop. People in Canberra are going to send us nasty messages now.
Like I said, I've got nothing against Canberra, covering my back, but I would rather live where I live if that's okay with you and continue to be sober in a different city. Imagine, though, an alcohol-free town where we can all dance like no one's watching, tea flows like wine, and everything shuts at about, we say at 8, I reckon, 8 or 7, 7:45 last call, everyone gets their waters, 8 o'clock, you're out. Does actually
last orders, busy water, last orders,
exactly.
Get to the bar quick.
Quick, last round of tea.
But seriously, Sobriety Capital is all about building a reserve of resources, not hummus, habits and relationships that will help you stay sober when life gets, well, probably just a bit lifey.
Yeah, it can get a bit lifey, this life. So Vic, what does Sobriety Capital mean to you?
I would say it's a bit like having all your ducks in line. When you're thinking of giving up the grog, it's making sure you have all your tools, structure, people, places, everything you need to fall back on. So if you do fall, it's like falling on a bed of soft goose feathers rather than a pile of manure. Basically, what I mean is make sure your mother duck is holding your hand when the baby duck quacks. Does that make sense, Hamish?
No, makes no sense at all. To be honest, you lost me at not wanting to fall into a pile of manure because I think if there was a big enough pile, that would be a soft landing. So that's where I tuned out, to be honest. What it actually means is the breadth and depth of internal and external resources that can be drawn upon to initiate and sustain recovery. Okay, now even that doesn't make an awful lot of sense. But yeah, because Vic and I are useless and Jean is a total legend, we actually emailed her and we asked her to explain Sobriety Capital to us in a way that did not involve any ducks, goose, manure, or really any birds of any kind. So here is Jean telling us in her own words what Sobriety Capital is.
Hey there, Hamish and Vic. This is Jean McCarthy from the Bubble Hour, responding to your request for information about Recovery Capital. What is it and how do we use it? Simply put, Recovery Capital refers to what is it that we bring with us into recovery? What do we have and what do we lack? And we can think of it in terms of super basic needs, physical needs. Do we have a home? Do we have safety? Do we have access to transportation? We can think of it in terms of social capital. Do we live with people that support our choice to be alcohol-free? Do we live with people that are in active addiction themselves? What's our living situation like? We can think of it in terms of financial situation. Do we have enough to get by? Do we have appropriate medical care? Can we afford our medications? And do we have any other health complications that are going to make it even harder. Mental health, physical health. So what do we bring in? And then what do we lack? Do we have social supports? We look at these things and we sort of identify where we're going to need extra support. And then we make a point of going out and getting it. Recovery Capital isn't a scorecard of who's going to succeed and who isn't when it comes to recovery. It's just a way of really thinking about what we're bringing and what we need to reinforce in our lives. And it should always be thought of together with the severity of the addiction and any complicating factors. So, for example, if we lay those two things across each other as a kind of a matrix. So in one direction, we're thinking about severity and complication of the addiction. And on the other axis, we're thinking about the levels of recovery capital. When we look at those two things together, we could see how perhaps someone who has a lot of recovery capital and a lower level of addiction and fewer complications, they may have the ability to put those two things together and seek recovery without a lot of outside help. On the other side of that, someone who's got a really advanced and complicated addiction and or mental health situation and a low level of recovery capital is going to need significant intervention, assistance, and effort in order to be successful in sustaining recovery. So that's how we think of it. And it's actually pretty encouraging. And it also, when you think of it that way, it explains why some people just take to it and don't seem to have a lot of problems, whereas what worked for them might not work for someone else. It's always keeping these two things in mind together: recovery capital and severity and complexity. That's my take on it. You can find out more. Look up William White is a fantastic writer on this topic. I also have an episode on this very topic. There's an episode on tiny bubbles. So have a listen to that and let me know what you think. Thanks for asking, and hello to all of the listeners of Sober Awkward.
So really, it's about looking at parts of our lives like health, home, purpose, and community, and organising them all so that we are ready to step into our sober life. Jean said it's all about what we bring with us into our sober lives. What do we have and what do we lack?
Gosh, she's such a bloody legend, that Jean McCarthy. I love her. And I love this episode already. And for anyone out there that's thinking about giving up drinking, I think it really simplifies the steps you have to take and what you need to get in place for this sober party to get started. I like the way we say that, Hamish, sober party, like it sounds it's fun. It's actually really hard.
Oh, sign me up.
Annoying. I know what you're going to ask me, Hamish. Go on.
I was going to ask you about how many sober chickens it takes to cross the road, but I actually got myself in a flap trying to come up with a bird-related recovery gag. Turns out the comedy wings aren't quite fully grown yet. So instead, let me ask you this. Vic, what do you think your sobriety capital was when you got sober? So Jean mentioned some quite basic things like shelter and transportation, which thankfully we were both lucky enough to have. But what I want to look at first is what she called social capital, were the people you live with actually supportive of your choice?
Well, for starters, I would never have been able to consider sobriety if it had not been for my humourless husband.
Yeah, the boring guy, sure.
The boring guy, yeah. I was too busy trying to impress everyone before I met him, which meant I drank lots, actually, because it was a lot of pressure to try and make all these friends and keep all these friends all the time. And actually, when I met him, it was like, oh, I can relax. I remember a feeling of my shoulders dropping because I was so intensely trying to keep everybody happy all the time and make them laugh, that when I met him, because he had no humour, I didn't have to have any humour either. Yeah. I think maybe that's what it was.
So you were immediately like the fun one in the relationship, so you could just relax. Everyone's like, clearly she's the great one. You haven't got to try anymore.
Yeah, totally. There was no battle over punchlines anymore, which was quite nice. It's quite relaxing. The other thing is that I had solid living circumstances for the first time. I mean, I'd been travelling a lot before then and living out of my bag. I lived in Sydney. We had enough money to pay our rent. I was settled for the first time ever. I had a roof over my head and was planning a family. Of course, it wasn't that made me reconsider my drinking. It was the anxiety I suffered due to reckless binge drinking, of course. But looking back, I had the scaffolding I needed, the structure and support for a few years until I took the sober plunge. So lucky for me, my foundations were laid a few years before I quit forever. I think that was important for me. I had to set up my situation, and that perhaps took a few years before I could have even considered giving up drinking. I was really secure for the first time in my lifestyle and in my relationship. I knew John would support me, and my kids were probably a little bit too young to know what was going on. But one thing I will say is that I kept my sobriety inside those four walls for a long time, because I knew some people would want to shake my abode from its foundations, if you know what I mean. It meant I felt safe, just because some people probably wouldn't understand my changes. So that's how I kept my capital safe and my newfound sobriety safe, was perhaps just by keeping it inside my home.
I guess already knowing who you want to know about your sober life is like a brick wall in your sobriety capital. You need to work out who is there to build with you and pre-plan who stays on site and who might need to sort of stay outside of that. All right, let them in when you feel confident enough.
Are we almost going to go for a building analogy here?
I don't think we can go from
one. I can feel it coming.
Birds to building. Is that it?
You've got to get a spade to dig up your sober life and create the scaffolding and the sand and the cement mixer that will come together and create your sober life.
Your people are the sand. Your finances are the water. Your mental health is the cement. And together, we build strong enough foundations to last for the lifetime.
Oh, well done. Good work, Haim. On the spot, that was. Good man. Haim, I know your sobriety is a bit different to many, but if you were to put yourself in the wellies of someone that was struggling with a daily drinking habit, or you were living with someone in active addiction, what strategic moves would you make beforehand to ensure your sober life was safe?
Okay, so I'm going to start with your living situation. Now, we're not going to get into the rabbit hole of owning a house versus renting here, but can you afford your rent or your mortgage? Because if you can, then that, in my book, is a huge tick. Now, inside that house or flat, who are you living with? Are they people you know and trust? Are they open to you making a change, and are they happy to help? Are they heavy drinkers? Are they hosting house parties that might be a trigger? Can your house become a booze-free zone, at least at the start? Is your house walking distance from a pub or a bottle shop as well? What relationship do you have with your housemates if you've got them? Speaking of relationships, are you in a stable one with a supportive partner? Now, you don't need to be, obviously. You might be someone who's happily independent and single and wants to be out there dating. Doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you're not allowing toxic relationships or the breakdown of an old one or the honeymoon period of a new one to set you off track.
Oh, that's such a good point, Hamish, because I know in AA there's a rule where you're not supposed to get into any relationships, especially with people there, for at least a year of your sobriety, which actually I think is really good advice. It might not work out like that, and I know for a lot of people it doesn't, but keeping your sobriety safe by not risking your heart, I think, is a really, really good tip and will create your capital a lot easier and keep it stronger. Because I know if I had got a broken heart in my first year of sobriety, it would have totally broken me, and I probably would have started drinking again.
You know how everything's a subscription now? Music, movies, even socks. I swear if
To continue this ad, please upgrade to Premium Plus Platinum.
What? No, anyway, Blue Apron...
This is a pay-per-listen ad. Please confirm your billing.
Oh, that's annoying. At least with the new Blue Apron, there's no subscription needed. Get delicious meals delivered without the weekly plan.
Wait, no subscription?
Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first two orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows home so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
For sure. Okay, now we're going to look at your job. Now, it doesn't need to be the perfect one or your dream one necessarily, but is it providing you with enough financial security, more on that later, satisfaction, and maybe most importantly, a reliable and stable environment to enter each and every day? As somebody about to go through quite a lot of change, right? Have you got some pisshead colleagues or an inappropriate boss who's not going to help the situation?
I think everybody's got some piss-up colleagues and an inappropriate boss.
There's always piss-up colleagues and lots of bosses are wankers, but we need to not let them set you off track. I would also say if you work in a big enough business, you will have sober colleagues. I did not know this until I got a job recently. And of my team, I think there's maybe 18 people in my team. 3 of us are sober, which seems like an unusually big ratio. But that is the reality. So I'm never the only sober person. So that's quite reassuring. Obviously, there's some piss-ups there too. I mean, lots of my team are Irish, so almost goes without saying. As they are with Brits, as they are with Aussies. To be fair, I'm not having a dig at the Irish. Don't come for me. Finally, back to the finances. Right,
Hamish has a problem with Irish people and people from Canberra.
That's it. And if you're Irish and live in Canberra, wow. Never let our paths cross.
We won't speak to you or you.
I'm going to get in trouble for this episode.
Yeah,
Finally, back to the finances. Right, we know the amount of stress that money can cause. Trust me. Can you clear any debt you might be in? Can you cut your credit cards? Can you start building up a small savings account or sell any unnecessary shit around your house? Having this fallback of a little cash in the bank is going to ease your mind and help you focus on the job at hand.
I have a lot of unnecessary shit around my house. Not only shit that the children leave around, but also actual shit. Where when you have children, that actually can happen. So can you sell actual shit? Does that work?
I don't know what the market is for human poo.
Yeah.
I'm not
There's
sure.
definitely a market out there, Hamish.
You could try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, reach out to us, Vic and Hamish at soberawkward.com. if you want to buy Vic shit, name your price. We are negotiable.
Oh my God. Now, I know we said this wasn't going to be about money, but we have to mention it here because let's be honest, sobriety is probably the first lifestyle change that actually saves you cash.
Yes, it does. I think having some of your finances in order before quitting booze is a wonderful idea. That doesn't mean you need to start a trust fund or a savings account that isn't just loose change and expired gift cards. But let's face it, if we could afford to drink, we can definitely afford not to, right?
Totally agree. But I must say, luckily for me, I think that's the difference in situations here for different people all over the world, is that I never once considered my finances. I was so in my anxiety and reaching out for therapy, and it was all about what was going on in my mind. No matter what was happening with my finances at that time, I actually didn't care. But that was probably because I was in this situation where I didn't almost have to care. I knew that my husband was working. We had enough money for rent. But I'm sure there's going to be some people out there who are so in the fight, in the battle of alcoholism that they have to put aside everything else and go, right, it doesn't matter about my finances. Even if I come out of this in debt, all I have to do is get better. So I will add there that I think sometimes the most important thing is that you're getting help and sorting out your drinking problem. And then also you have an opportunity when you're sober to sort out any finances that have kind of gone astray as well.
Well, I guess for me, it was a little bit different. This might ring true for other people who give up without having a drinking problem. Finances were like a major reason for me to go sober because I was like a new dad and Liz was obviously working less and I was now the breadwinner. I was aware that every dollar that I was going to save through giving up booze was going to help. So it was an important factor for me.
Yeah, so knowing you have a bit of savings or enough money to cover rent, food and medical care if you need it will reduce stress and give you stability during the adjustment period between not sober and sober. Doing this safeguards you and you're not replacing booze with some sort of like financial panic. I think, Sobriety Capital is not always about creating ways to feel ready to go sober, but also taking away any stress that could cause you to drink again.
Yes, that makes sense. Jean said, what do we bring in and what do we lack? So this is all about assessing every aspect of your life and making sure that everything is in place for a long-term, happy and joyful, sober life. So Vic, We're going to start with you. What did you bring in and what did you lack when you decided to give up booze?
Okay, I've written here, feel free to interrupt me in any of these, Hamish. I brought in a good frame of mind. I was open to change because I could not live in the world of panic anymore. This meant I was going in mentally strong and ready to try something new. I brought in humour. I tried to bring my personality along for the ride, and that was part of me I could rely on when things got tough.
Okay, stop there. Did you bring in humour from day one? I mean, was that a conscious decision? Or were you able to grow into that and see the funny side and start blogging and podcasting once you felt more
I knew that my drinking stories were funny. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I could laugh at myself.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a good characteristic to have through this. Even when things get tough, I was like, oh God, this is ridiculous. Like I could almost see it as a sort of farcical thing that I was going through and what silly state I'd got myself in and sort of laugh at myself almost because I was continuing to drink even though I was getting in a massive state of anxiety the next day, but I still hadn't understood that it was alcohol causing the anxiety still. For many, many years, I was just learning different ways to keep on drinking. And it was almost funny. I remember in therapy kind of just laughing out loud going, I cannot believe I didn't make the correlation between these two things. And it made me laugh because I was like, God, I'm so stupid sometimes. And I think if you can laugh at yourself, it does make the truth easier to handle. I'm not saying laugh at all the terrible things that you've done in your life, but I think having a sense of humour is a good way to keep you pepped up and keep you joyful, even when things are terribly hard.
Yeah, we always try and underline that, don't we? We're like, this is a very serious topic and decision in your life. But if you can find the humour in it, or if you can make it fun for yourself in some way, then do lean into that.
Lean into it. Totally agree. I definitely bought some determination. I bought my authenticity and honesty, which allowed me to share without shame and actually connect with others a lot easier. I bought my story with pride. I bought the willingness to learn and keep on trying. I think that's the most important one. Out of all of those combined, I would say bringing the willingness to learn and to keep on trying. All that is one foot in front of the other, isn't it? Just to keep on plodding on. And that's what I did. I plodded through everything. It was very therapeutic writing these, Hamish. We've never actually focused on this before. And these are really complementary characteristics about myself. And I know often I moan about myself and say, I did this wrong, and I was this and I was that. And I always put myself in a box of somebody that made loads of mistakes. But actually going through these, I brought a lot into my sobriety, I think, which is why I'm able to continue it without looking back or feeling regret and shame and all of those things. Because what I brought in was very, very solid and added to my sobriety capital and made my sobriety very, very strong.
I would actually say that final point about keep on trying. I think I'm allowed to do this, the first plug for the new book, and you haven't asked me to do this. This is a genuine one from me. I've just finished it. Keeping on trying, I would say, is your superpower. I think your honesty and your humour goes without saying, but your ability to keep trying and failing and trying again, be that in finding ways to maintain sobriety or be a good parent or be a good, I would say a good wife, but this episode has not been your best as a wife. It's so important, and everyone needs to take something from that. You are not going to find the easy way to get sober quick. You're going to have to try loads of different things. It might be loads of different hobbies. It might be loads of different books. It might be podcasts. It might be exercise. It might be whatever it is. You're going to have to try 1,000 things before you settle on a routine that seems easy to you. And I think you've been brilliant at that. And I think lots of people need to learn from that.
That's very kind of you to say. And I think along with that, I make it sound easy. And it's not easy. And I think for a lot of people, that's the point, is you keep plodding along even when it's not easy. And that can be very difficult, and that's why people relapse. But I think taking that next step, no matter how difficult it feels, is the only way to move forward. Obviously, I know that sounds a bit cliche, but that's what I did. I just kept on forging forward, no matter how I felt, because I knew I couldn't go back to that. I could not go back to anxiety. I didn't want it as part of my life. And I know when people give up drinking, they're determined. And those first few months are really hard and they expect to feel amazing straight away. But that doesn't happen. It's about plodding on and forging forward for yourself for as long as it takes. And that might take a year and it might take 2 years, but all you've got to do is keep going.
Well, speaking of difficulty, so we've covered what you brought in terms of your rich sobriety capital. What were you lacking in?
I lacked insight and knowledge of the sober world. Obviously, I just didn't ever consider it, so I didn't know anything about it. Why would I? I lacked the ability to know what support I needed. I thought I wasn't worthy a lot of the time. I definitely didn't think I'd be accepted into AA. I didn't know what level of intervention that I needed. Of course, you don't until you try. I lacked sober support networks. I think all of these things, Hamish, are things that, of course, I wouldn't have known. They're not actually, they're very normal things that unless you're trying something new, you would even look into. Like you don't train for a marathon if you're not going to be in a marathon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be in a marathon, just in case you're wondering.
Maybe.
I had no understanding that this was about me, not booze. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Because, of course, giving up drinking is about finding out who you were before it and then discovering who you are after it. And I didn't know there was a big reason why, and a lot of heartbreak and a lot of red flags and all of those things that were going on with me emotionally. I thought this is about me drinking and me not drinking. And that was not the case. And that is a wonderful thing to discover. And like Jean so wisely said, I didn't know what I needed to give this a shot and what I needed to strengthen and reinforce it. So basically you're stepping into something blind, aren't you, when you're going sober? So you don't really know what you need until you need it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I needed mates and a support system and a community and tea. And also I thought I lacked the support of my family, but I was actually completely wrong about that one too. I thought I was going into something where everybody thought I was going to be a weirdo and boring and not accepted. But that's one thing I learned, is that everybody that was important to me supported my decision because they could see it made me happier. What about you, Hamish? What did you naturally bring to sober life? And what do you think you lacked?
Okay, well, I brought a clear why, which was doing this podcast each and every week, and also the sort of motivation to be as good a dad and husband as I could. As I said, I'd only just become a dad when I went sober. I also brought confidence that I could do it. I did it for a year in 2015 and I enjoyed it. And I knew that given that I wasn't a problem drinker, I thought, well, this can't be as challenging for me as it could be for others. I've done it before. I can do it and I'll do it again. I guess situationally, we had a house that we could afford. I lived with Liz, who I adore, and she was also sober because she was breastfeeding Sonny, who'd just been sober for 9 months. And we lived a drive away from a pub or a bottle shop, like most people that live on the Sunshine Coast, where you and I used to be and you still are. You would drive everywhere, which for sober people or people trying to get sober, is an absolute godsend. Job-wise, as we've mentioned, I was at Cooey Water, now John's employer, and I also worked at the ABC where I was presenting radio, which was my dream job. So job-wise, I was very happy. As if having a newborn wasn't enough, we also had very few friends on the Sunshine Coast, which meant my phone was not ringing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with invitations to go and get pissed. I also brought in with it a sort of positive, this is a fun challenge mindset, which I knew I couldn't fail. If I fail at this, I lose the podcast job. This
is a fun challenge you've put there. Now, I know that sounds like a bit flimsy, doesn't it? To go to someone who's got a drink problem. Oh, why don't we make it a really fun challenge? Because they're going to go, this is not a fun challenge for me. But what I will say there is giving yourself a challenge to give up drinking for a year even is a really, really good start. I know it's not fun and it's not all silly and ha, 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 like we sometimes make it out on the podcast. And it can be very, very hard. But making something a challenge for yourself is a really good kickstart, actually.
Yes, I think I'm definitely not trying to demean it. I guess that's just the way that I view a lot of difficulties in life. I think I try and label them an interesting challenge. Can I go raving sober? Can I do public speaking sober? Can I be the only person in a room full of pissheads? And if I can label it a challenge to myself, it makes it motivating and fun than looking at it as like, oh my God, I've got to be the only sober person in a room full of pissheads. So it's just a sort of trick that I use on myself to try and make the reality less daunting. I think that's what I mean by using the word challenge there. I also had enormous accountability to live up to in that I told my friends, I told my family, I had to see you every Monday to record a podcast. So I couldn't exactly get pissed on a Saturday and then blag it. So I think that having multiple layers of accountability really helped me. With that being said, I didn't have it all. I lacked plenty. I lacked, like you, pretty much all knowledge of what this involved beyond not drinking alcohol. I had listened to every episode of Sober Awkward before I joined, but you don't really know until you do it. I had zero ideas. I had read no books, no articles. I'd read a few of your blogs, but, other than Sober Awkward, I knew nothing. Absolutely none. I had no sober friends other than you. And I also had, which I think was both something that I lacked, but maybe something that has helped me, a short-term mindset. So I went in thinking I'll be sober for a year for the podcast and that'll be that. And I think that has helped me in a way, and it has also held me back in a way. It's helped me in that, like Ziggy Albert's, I try and talk about I'm sober indefinitely, which seems less terminal and daunting than giving up forever, and I can wrap my little head around giving up indefinitely. But it also limits you. I'm only going to be sober for a year, so you're sort of counting down days, which is not necessarily the healthiest way to approach a long-lasting sobriety.
Yeah, such a good point, Haim. I mean, some people get to a year after having a really, a good year, and then they just go back to their old ways very, very quickly, and things deteriorate very quickly. And I think they do say, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. You don't learn moderation in that year. And I think that's the sneaky thought that slips in at the end of that year. It's like, I've done this now. I know I cannot drink. So therefore, I'm going to try moderation for a bit and just go out for a couple of wines here and there. But of course, we've never, ever, in all the years that we've done this podcast, have heard of someone that was a problem drinker and then going back and moderating and it being okay. Yeah. It spirals very, very, very quickly. It might not be the case for someone like you, and it's something that we'll have to find out in the future, Haim. But I can't imagine you drinking now, so it feels really weird, for you to have that first drink, because so much has changed and so much has developed, and your capital is so strong, and your reasons why are so clear now that I wonder what it would take for you to have a drink again.
I know. I don't know. That is the great quandary in my life. Part of me thinks, I'll probably drink at some point again. I'm sure I'll be sober curious at some point, and I can understand that. But then I can't actually fully visualize the first drink.
No, I can't either.
I can see myself drinking, but not having a drink, if that makes any sense at all.
Oh God, I think it would actually make me feel a bit anxious. Make sure I'm not there if you ever do it, because
I'd have to call you and confess. That phone call would be horrible for me.
I wouldn't judge you. I'm not here to judge people. Everybody's done this sort of thing. I'd just be like, oh, okay, well, that's your choice, and see what happened. I'll just enjoy watching you unravel.
Yeah, that's it. You'd like to watch me crash and burn.
Yeah. But I think, Hamish, because we're both very willing to listen and learn from our peers, we were open to see where this took us. I think that's a really good point. And we were only able to step forward into sober life because we both had so much support to fall back on.
It's like when you become a parent and only then start to have empathy for your own parents. I didn't realise I had a wealth of support and love and care until I created the same thing for my own children. I think sometimes you have to stop and see how much capital you already have.
Yeah, for me it happened when I had a kid and decided I had to be a little bit more adulty. One day you're just existing, eating cereal for dinner and avoiding phone calls. Then suddenly you are a person who cares about interest rates, owns a spice rack and says things like, let's get there early and find some parking, darling. It's clear that some people might need a lot of sobriety capital and others might need just a little bit. And it's up to you to put into place what you need to create, which will make strong grounds for a sober life. But if you do have lots of sobriety capital, a good way to give back is to help others that don't. I think this is an important point we have to make, Hamish, a bit like we do on this podcast. We are trying to help people gather their tools. Sobriety is all about getting sober and then helping those that come after you. You can be their capital.
Ooh, okay, I like this. We can go from not knowing it exists to actually becoming it. It's a bit like Alien.
Yeah. So you creating the monster inside you.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a nice monster that comes out and says hello and gives you a cuddle.
I would have gone Frankenstein there, but I am better read.
Yes, okay, yeah, Frankenstein would have been better. Young Frankenstein.
That's okay.
Which is one of my favourite films with Gene Wilder.
Your references are films, mine are books.
I didn't know you could read, Hamish. So what is the difference between having some solid sobriety capital and not having any at all? What do you reckon?
Okay, here's what I think. If you don't have it, you might not even consider a sober life. You won't have any reason to get sober. You won't have any reason to stay sober. You won't have any self-confidence, and you will fear everything falling apart and life feeling too overwhelming.
Okay, that is true. I think also you'll probably struggle to navigate cravings and triggers without a plan in place. You may feel isolated and alone in your decision making. Oh, sorry, wait a second. Oh, God, Hamish!
What? What is that?
It's the books, the first book.
Oh my God. Okay, open them.
Okay, wait, we'll have to film it afterwards, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
It all goes on when we do a podcast. There's always some bloody delivery or something, isn't there? Oh, let me just come back and just explain to the listeners what just happened. I had to stop the podcast for a second because there was the dog barking, and the first copies of my new book have just arrived. I've just carried a box in, and I'm not going to open it yet, Hamish, but I will film myself opening it in a minute. I feel a bit nervous.
I know. I just had a flash of like you opening it and the title's misspelt or your name's wrong. I don't know if I do want to watch you open them. I'm nervous.
Okay, we'll do it after. We'll do it afterwards. We'll finish this and then we'll open them and film it.
Okay.
Very exciting. Yes, so sorry. Let's get back to the important stuff, Hamish, which is us being other people's capital and people not having it and what it means. Is that right? Is that where we are?
Something like that.
You'll probably, if you don't have it, have no coping mechanisms to replace alcohol, leading to frustration and actually relapse. I think this is the difference, isn't it, between having some capital and not, Hamish, is really interesting. You might romanticize drinking and forget why you wanted to quit in the first place. You'll be more likely to give up at the first sign of discomfort or challenge. I must say here, I often see posts on all of my platforms. So I have my Drunk Mummy Instagram page, and on our Facebook page for women, this is a really common theme, is that it's like day 1, day 2, and you feel the daily struggle of people. It's a minute by minute process giving up drinking. It's not perhaps like you and I who were pleased. I was so pleased when I stopped drinking, where other people are in a daily minute by minute struggle, which can feel very, very, very hard, which is why they're feeling that discomfort and why it can be overwhelming, because it's all consuming when you're thinking about it all day, every day. And if you don't have any of these things in place, what we just talked about, you will end up feeling totally overwhelmed by the need to drink. Those cravings will consume your mind and you'll end up reaching for a drink. So I think it's a really good point here to mention, just sit down if you're thinking of giving up drinking and maybe write a list of what you have in place already before you give up drinking to see if you have enough support around you. It's almost like making a plan, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Making a plan on how I'm going to give up drinking. It's not just about you not taking the drink anymore. It's about you looking around the room almost and going, right, what do I have in place to make this better than it could be?
Yeah. And you don't have to have everything. You have to have some of them, but being conscious of the ones you don't have might help. Just be like, okay, I know that this is a potential trigger for me going forward. I need to keep an eye on that. It's going to be really helpful. If you do have good sobriety capital, you're going to feel more confident and secure in your decision to go sober. You're going to have a strong support system to lean on when things get tough. You'll be better equipped to handle cravings and triggers without panicking.
Yeah, and you'll create a life that actually feels fulfilling rather than just not drinking. I think that's the point. So actually, by having some sobriety capital, you're giving yourself the best chance at a long-term sobriety with stability and purpose. So what we know is, and actually I hate to say it, it's very much like lining up those ducks, Hamish, isn't it? I was right all along.
Okay, fine.
I knew my duck analogy was correct.
It still loosely works, but yeah, I'll say it. It's just that some ducks might have wandered off towards the main road and will need a helping hand to get back on track.
Here are some things that you can do to make your sobriety capital as strong as concrete. Firstly, find the right level of support for your drinking level.
Not everyone needs rehab, but not everyone can do it alone either. Be honest about where you're at, whether it's self-guided sobriety, therapy, online support groups, or full professional treatment. There's a right fit for you.
Right, I'm about to reel off some top titties, Hamish. We haven't done top tits for ages.
We haven't done top tits in a long time.
So grab your pens and paper, because this is what you need to make sure your sober life is as comfortable as my dad asleep on the sofa with the remote control balanced on his belly.
Okay, that is comfortable.
That is very, very comfortable. So the first thing is, as we said, build that support system. Tell close friends and family about your plan and seek out some sober communities, whether online or in person. Just put that in place.
Find alternative coping mechanisms. Identify new ways to relax or de-stress, like exercise, journaling, or meditation.
Sort out some of your finances if you can. Redirect your drinking budget into something that benefits you, like a savings fund, therapy, or hobbies.
Learn about sobriety. Neither Vic nor I did it before we started. Please don't make the same mistake that we did. Read books, listen to podcasts. Sober Awkward is a good one, apparently. And follow sober accounts for motivation. Prepare for the emotional side, if you can. Sobriety can bring up loads of emotions, so have tools in place to process them, like talking to a trusted friend, a therapist, or journaling. Journaling sort of comes up in a few of these points. Also, if you have these things already, look around you, smell the roses, and realise how lucky you are. You've got everything in place for this to go well. And if the journey's not perfect, then at least you have a soft fall.
I wish we could make that fall softer for everyone, Hamish. Some people seem to have everything against them. Have you ever watched White Soft Underbelly? It's about people living on Skid Row in LA. It's just normal people down on their luck. For the people in the show, it would be so hard to get everything in place, to have a chance at recovery. It's like this capital is so far out of reach for some people that they just descend deeper and deeper into addiction. It happens all the time. But what I will say is there are situations where the capital is so far out of reach for some people. And that's why maybe donating some of your time as a sober person to help people like that and be a support system for somebody that doesn't have that help is a really, really good way not only to strengthen their chance at recovery, but also to prolong your own.
I think you wanted to finish here with a quote from William White. Tell me about William White.
Actually, Jean mentioned William White. I looked up his book and it's called Recovery Rising. So I thought I'd read some quotes from there to end. Addiction recovery is a reality. It is everywhere. Oh, do you love that one, Hamish?
Yeah, I like it.
That can give everybody hope. I'm going to say it again. Addiction recovery is a reality. You do recover from this, and it is happening everywhere in the world. There are many paths to recovery. Recovery flourishes in supportive communities. Recovery is a voluntary process. Oh, that's so good. Recovering and recovered people are part of the solution. Recovery gives back what addiction has taken. I mean, those points are really incredible, aren't they? Especially recovery is a voluntary process, because we get that email all the time. My partner still drinks. What do I do? What do I do? How can I help someone? But it has to be a voluntary process. And that can be really, really hard for a lot of people that are on the other side of somebody who has an addiction to understand. It has to be coming from the person with the issue.
That's William White's book, Recovery Rising. Another great tip from Jean. We love her. We love Jean. She's got a podcast of her own, which famously Vic was one of the last guests, and then she closed the whole thing down. Make of that what you will. It's called The Bubble Hour. It is a must listen, and an example of how she uses different people's stories to inspire sobriety. Talking of stories, Vic, will you read me a story when I go to bed tonight?
Of course, I always read you a story every night, Hamish, when you go to bed, don't you? We ask your wife to leave the room and then I read you a little book, don't you?
That's it. I read to my son, then I get into bed with you. You read me a book. It's basically like a human centipede of book reading.
That is a lovely image to end on, Hamish. So Sobriety Capital is a way of strengthening your life and everything around you before you go sober. I wish I'd had more of it, and I wish I'd thought about my sobriety before I took my first step in it. But I don't think anyone realises what it's all about. So don't worry if you don't have it ready before you step in. Just step in.
Yes.
And then you'll be able to sort out your life as you go on this sober path. I think that's a good point to end on, don't you? Don't you? Do you think it's a good point to end on? Come on.
Don't you? Implying
you do,
the yes.
You?
Exactly.
You do, don't you?
I do.
Don't think that's a good point to start on.
Also, knowing some of our sneakier listeners, I don't want you to use this as an excuse to delay your sobriety. We'll go, hang on, I'm not rich yet with a stable relationship and everything in place. So I'm going to keep drinking for another couple of years until I am. This is not a loophole, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not a loophole, no. It's not like you waiting to get everything ready, because if your life is spiraling out of control, it's only going to spiral out of control even more.
Yes.
What we're saying is make some choices to get that ball rolling, Haim. I think that's it. And look at your life and work out what you have and what you don't have, and how sobriety will help you have the things that you don't as well. I don't think that really makes sense. But anyway.
Be the duck. I think that's the way to finish this one.
Yes. Be the duck.
Be the duck you always dreamt you were going to be when you were just a small, innocent little duckling.
Yes, yes. Become a duck.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Award-winning podcast, this.
If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
Do they have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?
I don't know, just write it on the document.
How many times have you wished you could be in two places at once? With Wix, you practically can. Wix's website builder is packed with powerful AI tools to make running your business online easier. Build a full site just by talking with AI. Get an AI agent to manage your sales and marketing. Or work like a 10-person team, even if it's just you. So you don't need superpowers to get everything done. You just need Wix. Try it out for yourself at Wix.com.
Hey neighbor, this holiday season, Birch Lane is here to help you celebrate with friends and family. From guest-ready dining tables to cozy sofas that fit the whole crew, our classic furniture and decor are crafted to last. And with fast free delivery, you can be ready for holiday hosting in days, not weeks. So you can spend time on what matters most. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
Okay, good.
So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it,
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Buy another one.
Yeah.